Your phone lights up at 11:47 p.m. with 3 new messages from people who love you. You see the notifications and you turn the phone face down on the nightstand. You are not sad and you are not crying tonight. You just don't feel like answering, and you can't fully explain why, even to yourself. Earlier today, you smiled at coworkers, answered emails, and even laughed at a joke in the break room. Nobody around you would have guessed anything was wrong, because on the surface, nothing was. You looked like a person having a completely ordinary Tuesday. Even you would have said, if anyone had asked, that everything was basically fine. Everyone assumes a mental health crisis looks like tears, like shouting, like falling apart in front of someone. But for most people, especially the ones who function well under pressure, it doesn't look like that at all. It looks like silence, calm, and the words, "I'm fine," repeated so often they stop meaning anything. It looks like a person who still shows up, still gets everything done, still meets every deadline on time. The version of struggling that gets missed is the quiet, competent, well-dressed version. If any part of that already sounds like your last few weeks, you are not alone in this, not even close. In this video, we're breaking down 5 signs your mental health may be quietly getting worse even while you look completely okay to everyone around you. None of these require a breakdown, a crisis, or a single visible tear. This isn't a checklist for diagnosing yourself, it's a map for noticing what's already happening. Most people recognize 2 or 3 of these signs immediately, without ever having put a name to them before. Some of them are subtle enough that you might have lived with them for months without ever connecting them to each other. And the final sign is the one most people miss entirely, because it disguises itself as simply being busy. Let's start with the couch, because that's usually where it shows up first. Sign 1 is losing interest in things that used to light you up, without any clear warning. You sit down for the show you've watched 100 times, the one that always makes you laugh. Tonight, you watch it with the same blank attention you give a wall. Nothing about it is funny, nothing about it is comforting, it's just noise filling the room. You scroll your phone at the same time, half watching both, fully absorbed in neither. Later, a friend suggests the restaurant you used to beg to visit, and you agree, only out of habit. The food arrives, and it tastes fine, but nothing about it moves you the way it once did. Even your morning coffee, the one ritual you used to genuinely look forward to, now just feels like a task to check off. You notice it, you shrug it off, and you move on with your day like it doesn't matter. This isn't boredom, and it isn't you being ungrateful for an otherwise good life. Psychologists call this Anhedonia, a reduced ability to feel pleasure from things that once reliably delivered it. Your brain's reward circuitry, built around a chemical called dopamine, has essentially turned its own volume down. The activities haven't changed, the jokes are still funny, the food still tastes the same to everyone else. What's changed is how your brain is currently able to respond to all of it. Not because you stopped caring about your own life, but because the signal that used to reward you for caring has gone quiet. And because you still show up, still smile, still say yes to plans, nobody around you connects the dots. That's sign 1, and it usually arrives long before anyone else notices anything is wrong. Sign 2 shows up in the kitchen, days later, staring at a sink full of dishes. It's 4 plates, 2 mugs, and a pan. Nothing physically difficult about any of it. And yet you stand there for a full minute, unable to make yourself start. You've done this exact task 1,000 times before without thinking twice about it. It's not that the task is hard, it's that everything suddenly requires more energy than you currently have. Even replying to a simple text starts to feel like a small negotiation with yourself. You notice your jaw is tight, your shoulders are up near your ears, and you don't remember when either started. You've had a mild headache for 3 days straight, and you've stopped even mentioning it out loud. This is where a concept called allostatic load comes in. Allostatic load is the cumulative wear and tear your body accumulates from carrying stress for too long without real recovery. Your nervous system has been quietly running on emergency reserves for weeks, maybe even months now. Stress hormones like cortisol are meant to spike briefly during a threat, then settle back down afterward. When they don't settle, your baseline energy for ordinary tasks drops, even though the tasks themselves haven't changed at all. It's the biological version of a phone stuck running 15 apps in the background, draining the battery no matter what you're actually doing. Not because you're lazy or unmotivated, but because your body has been diverting its energy towards simply staying upright under pressure. Small tasks start to feel enormous because your baseline energy has already been spent somewhere else entirely. This is often the sign people misread the most, mistaking pure exhaustion for a character flaw. You start apologizing for things that were never actually your fault, simply because keeping up with everything feels impossible right now. Sign 3 happens at 2 a.m., lying in bed, staring at a ceiling you can't quite see. The same conversation from 3 days ago replays in your head for the 5th time tonight. You add new lines to it, better comebacks, different endings, none of which actually happened. Then, your brain jumps to tomorrow's meeting and rehearses that too, for no clear reason. You check the clock. It's past 2 a.m., and you already know 7 hours of sleep won't feel like rest anyway. You've tried counting sheep, tried breathing exercises, tried putting the phone in another room entirely. This looping is called rumination, and it's tied to something neuroscientists call the default mode network. The default mode network is the brain system that activates whenever you're not focused on an outside task. In a resting, healthy mind, it wanders gently between memories, small plans, and light daydreams. Under chronic stress, that same network gets stuck, replaying threat and failure on a loop it struggles to exit. The thoughts feel urgent and important in the moment, even when, in daylight, they clearly weren't. Sleep becomes the one place where your unresolved day finally catches up with you, uninvited. Your mind isn't broken. It's simply stuck in a groove it hasn't found a way out of yet. And each sleepless night makes tomorrow's version of Sign 1 and Sign 2 a little bit worse. By morning, you're running on less fuel than you started with the day before. You wake up already tired. Reach for your phone before your eyes fully adjust, and the loop quietly restarts. Sign 4 is texting a friend, "I'm fine, just tired," while your stomach is in actual knots. You're not lying to them on purpose. You genuinely believe it as you're typing it out. The problem is, you can't locate a more accurate word, even if you tried right now. Ask yourself what you're actually feeling, and the honest answer is closer to static than a clear emotion. Even good news lands strangely flat. A promotion or a compliment registers as information rather than joy. Meanwhile, a random commercial or a song on the radio can bring you to tears for reasons you can't fully trace. This is a real and documented experience called Alexithymia, meaning difficulty identifying and naming your own emotional states. It doesn't mean you have no emotions. It means the internal signal is arriving badly translated. Your body knows something is wrong long before your conscious mind can put language to it. That's why the stomach knots, the tight jaw, and the shallow breathing show up before any clear thought does. People around you keep asking if you're okay. And each time, fine is simply the fastest available word. Not because you're hiding the truth from the people who love you, but because you can't yet find the word for what you feel. That gap between the feeling and the word is exactly where the exhaustion tends to hide. And the longer that gap goes unnamed, the harder it quietly becomes to ask anyone for help. Even you start to wonder if maybe there's nothing actually wrong, since you can't point to a single clear reason. We're only halfway through, and the picture so far is numbness, heaviness, looping thoughts, and a vocabulary that's gone quiet. Individually, any one of these could just be a rough week, nothing more than that. Together, though, they start forming a pattern, one your brain has been quietly building for a while now. Numbness lowers your motivation, exhaustion lowers your patience, and looping thoughts steal the sleep you'd need to recover from both. Meanwhile, the missing words from Sign 4 make it harder to explain any of this to a single other person. And the final sign, the one we haven't touched yet, is the one that quietly costs people their closest relationships. It's also the sign that people are most likely to defend, explain away, and even feel a little proud of. It gets dressed up as independence, as being low maintenance, as simply not needing anyone right now. It's also the sign that, left alone long enough, quietly reinforces every single sign that came before it. Fewer people around you means fewer chances for someone to notice the numbness, the exhaustion, or the silence. Stick with this, because it changes how the entire list should be read. Sign 5 is the one friends notice before you do. Your closest friend invites you out for the third weekend in a row. You type, "Maybe next time." And you mean it, even though you know you probably won't go. You tell yourself you're just tired, just busy, just going through a temporary phase. A week later, you decline again, and this time, you don't even feel guilty about it. Eventually, the invitations start to slow down, and some small part of you feels relieved. A call goes to voicemail, and instead of calling back, you just tell yourself you'll do it tomorrow. An old photo pops up on your phone from a trip with friends, and it stirs up guilt rather than warmth. Social withdrawal is actually one of the most consistently documented early symptoms of declining mental health. It's listed among the core behavioral science clinicians look for when identifying depressive episodes. Here's the part almost nobody says out loud. Withdrawal isn't coldness, and it isn't a loss of love. Not because you don't love the people you're avoiding, but because connection itself has started to feel like one more task you cannot afford to take on. Your brain, already exhausted from carrying everything else, starts treating warmth and closeness as an expense rather than a comfort. That's the cruel irony hiding underneath all of this. The people best positioned to help you are the exact people you start pulling away from first. And the quieter you get, the less chance anyone actually has to notice you need them. What looks like distance from the outside is, underneath, closer to self-preservation. It's your mind's way of closing doors it no longer believes it has the energy to walk through. Here's the thing worth sitting with. None of these 5 signs mean something is permanently broken in you. They mean your system has been running without enough recovery for far too long now. The numbness, the heaviness, the looping thoughts, the missing words, the quiet withdrawal, none of it is weakness. They're your mind's way of conserving what little energy it currently has left to spend. Once you can name what's happening, it stops being a mystery and starts being something you can actually respond to. Fear turns into recognition, and recognition is the very first step back toward feeling like yourself again. Isolation turns into clarity, because now you can see the pattern instead of just quietly living inside it. Confusion turns into a plan, because a nervous system running on empty is something you can actually help refill. What felt like weakness starts to look more like a body that's been trying to protect you the whole time. None of it means you're failing. It means you've been carrying more than anyone else could see. And carrying something heavy for a long time is never proof that you're weak. Only proof that you've been strong for longer than anyone realized. The version of you reading this right now is still the same person who used to laugh at that show, still capable of feeling all of it again. Somewhere on that nightstand, the phone is still lit up with names of people who genuinely care about you. Its light hasn't gone out, it's just gotten quieter than it used to be. That's what this whole video is really about. Nothing important has disappeared, it's just running low, waiting to be recharged. A battery running low still holds a charge, it just needs somewhere safe to plug back in. So picture that phone again, face down on the nightstand. Screen glowing faintly in the dark room. This time, instead of turning further away from it, imagine reaching over and picking it up. That single choice, small as it looks from the outside, is often where things quietly start to turn around. One answered message, one accepted invitation, one honest sentence. That's usually where recovery actually begins. None of it has to happen all at once. And none of it has to be perfect the first time you try. Even a single small step counts, even if it takes you a few more tries to actually stick with it. If even one of these 5 signs hit close to home, you're not broken, and you're definitely not alone in this. So tell me in the comments, was it the couch and the show that felt different lately? Or was it the 2 a.m. thoughts that wouldn't stop? Drop the number that hit hardest and let's actually talk about it down there together. Congratulations on making it to the end of this video. Drop a comment with the part that hit you the hardest. Hit that subscribe button right in the middle of the screen so you don't miss the next video. And you can catch the next video in the top left corner of your screen or over on the right side. Thank you for being here.